about what is Angular and what are the features of Angular. And so what is difference between Angular JS and Angular? These are the few basic things we learned. Now, next important, today we will start working with Angular. That means after understanding this, now we need to learn how do we set up environment for Angular. How do we set up environment for Angular? That means how we can install, create Angular project and work with it, right? To set up environment for Angular, so what we have to do? First, already we have installed Node.js now. We installed Node.js, we installed Typescript. Already these two are there. And we already have a editor called Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is the editor. That is the editor we need. And now you have to do one more work. You have to install Angular CLI. Already the above three you already done. You have to install Angular CLI now. Actually, Angular CLI is nothing but CLI is a command line tool. Command line tool used to create and manage Angular projects. To create and manage Angular projects, you have to use this tool. We can create project and we can manage our Angular projects by using this CLI tool. So we have to install this Angular CLI. How? For that, what you have to do, open command prompt. You can open your Windows command prompt anywhere. Just what you have to do, you have to run the following command. What you have to run the command npm install globally @angular/CLI. You have to run this command. So npm is node package manager. Already we have it. Install globally so that you can create your Angular projects anywhere. If you don't use this global, then it will install only in the drive where you have executed the command. That means you say C drive, it will work only in C drive. So globally, so that you can use this CLI anywhere in C drive, D drive, E drive, anywhere you can do that. So first step, you have to install Angular CLI. So after installing, you can verify the version installed. You can verify the version installed. Open command prompt and you have to run the command npm install globally @angular/CLI. Already I done that. It will take some time to install, set up everything. Just you have to run this command. Remember, these are all online commands. So you need to get connected with internet, right? If you are offline, these commands cannot run successful, right? You need to connect with internet. Once it is installed, you can check the version, ng version. ng is short form for Angular. So for Angular, the short form is ng and Angular CLI version is 14. And our Node.js version is 16. Package manager version is 8. So we have to check the version. So we can do that by using simply ng version. You can just run this command. It will get the version details. So sometimes in your because some people already have Angular in their PC, but it is an old version. If you are having, not only that, later suppose one new version of Angular comes after few days, then how to update? That means, so here another point is how to update from older version to current version. How to update from older version to the current version? I am not giving the number because it will be changing. Number will be changing, but process will be same. First, what you have to do is, in order to update older version means if you have Angular 13, 12 or some other versions, then what you have to do, first step is you have to uninstall existing version. You have to uninstall the existing version. Uninstall existing version means you have to just use, here we have to use in the command prompt npm uninstall globally @Angular CLI. You have to first uninstall that. After uninstalling, what you have to do is clear all temporary files. Temporary files will be still there. If temporary files are still there, while installing new version, you will face problem. So you have to clean up all the temporary files. How do we do that? So you have to go to the command prompt. Here we have to run, so cache verify. You have to use the option ng, right? And npm we have to use cache verify. Cache verify is used to clean up all the memory. Whatever temporary files are there, it will delete all those temporary files. So you have to first uninstall the existing version. You don't need to do this if you are doing first time. If you are doing first time, the above is enough. You have to just run this command npm install globally CLI. So if you already have Angular version running, you have to update like this. First install. After uninstalling, you have to clean up. After cleanup, next step what we have to do is install new version. Install new version is same. What you can do, you can go with npm same. npm install globally @Angular CLI. This time it will install the new version. You can install the new version. So directly you cannot install the new versions. First you have to remove the existing version, clean up all the temporary files, then you have to add the new version. This is for the people who already have an older version of Angular in their machine. So if you are first time, then you can directly do this. Okay, just run this command npm install globally Angular CLI. So Angular is ready now. That means Angular is installed successfully. We have this version details coming. That means Angular is successfully working. Once Angular is ready, next step, we have to learn how to create Angular project. So now first we will see creating Angular workspace. We have to learn how to create Angular workspace. Creating Angular workspace. Actually, in general, anywhere tutorials and all, majority, not majority, you can see all All tutorials generally will teach you how to create a Angular project. But generally in majority of real world scenarios, we create a workspace, and a workspace is nothing but in a workspace there can be several projects. That means many times you will learn directly creating a project. So, but we are not doing that. We are creating a workspace. In that workspace, we are configuring the project. That means what is workspace is nothing but Angular workspace. Workspace comprises of a set of projects. You can maintain multiple projects. And what is advantage of workspace is you can share library between projects. Understood? You can share library between projects. So generally, whenever you are learning Angular from a website or YouTube channel, majority of examples will show you directly creating a project. Due to that, you will feel difficulty if you are following my references and YouTube or some other videos. So either follow what I am showing or follow that YouTube channel. Don't mix up. You will get confused with commands because their environment setup is different and ours is different. Our environment setup is we are creating a workspace with set of projects. Then how to deal with projects in a workspace is different. So that is the reason. So you follow this method, which is very regularly followed in real world environment, right? So Angular workspace, you can maintain lot of libraries. What is advantage of that? A lot of projects. You can share services. You can share lot of things among projects, right? That is advantage. So how to create a project? What you have to do is, first point, open any location on your PC. So where you want to create workspace. This is open any location on your PC in command prompt. Okay, in command prompt where you want to create workspace. So what you have to do first, you have to open the location in command prompt where you want to create the workspace. That means open any location, C drive, D drive, E drive, anywhere on your PC. Open any location on the PC. Suppose I will go to some E drive or C drive or D drive. Yeah. So here I am having some E drive. So because I already have so many projects. Yeah. So here I will choose my command prompt and I will open the E drive. Okay. You can choose any of your drives, and here you have to run the command. So ng is the shortcut for accessing Angular CLI. Ng. So it access the Angular CLI. Ng new. And you have to give workspace name. You can give any name. For example, you can give like my projects. I am giving like workspace Angular. You can give any name, right? I am giving like workspace Angular. Okay. You can give any name, whatever you want. So this ng new workspace, and here after giving the workspace, generally this new command will not create a workspace. It will create a project by this name. That means it will create an application by that name. But we don't want application. We want only workspace first. Then we have to use the option as, here we have to use an option. We have a flag. This flag is, we have to define option as create application is equal to false. We have to use the option create application is equal to false. Remember, these commands will be little bit changing and they are case sensitive. Capitalization matters. So in future releases, they are planning to give the commands with camel case representations. You can try here. See, first you give ng new /?. When you give this /?, it will give you help about that new. So ng help, right? So help. It will give all the help commands. And you see in the help option, you have some options. You see, these are the options. And you can see that here we are having ng new, right? Ng new is for, so creates a new Angular workspace. It is creating a new Angular workspace. But actually, this ng new have a lot of other things also. For example, I will show you here. So ng new and help. This is help will create a command. Ng new, what is the workspace name? Workspace Angular. Okay, and here what we have to do, create application is equal to false. So we have to run the option here, create application is equal to false. Some argument is hyphen or the command little changes. Create hyphen application. Yeah. So as I already told you that in the latest version, they changed the camel case to separations. That means just before this version, we have to write the commands in camel case. Camel case means what? Create application like this. We need to set it to false. But now they have changed this camel case like this. Create hyphen application. All the commands are now changed to camel case to create application. If you are watching any old version related tutorials, you will not find this one. You will find create application. Right? In the very recent versions, you have to use create hyphen application. Okay. So how do we create workspace? Some location we selected, some E drive or D drive somewhere. Here we have to run the command. What is the command? Ng new. What is that? Workspace Angular. You can give any name. And here we have to use the flag called create application. Create application is equal to false. So this is going to create only workspace. It is going to create only workspace. Only workspace is created. You see now it is creating the workspace. It will take some time. So in that workspace, it is automatically generating some files. You can see in the workspace, some files are automatically generated and few files you already know. I will show you them. So it will take a while for creating, and after creating the workspace, what you do is a folder is created by workspace name. Understood? That means what is the folder name? We will have workspace Angular. What you have to do is open so folder in your editor. Our editor is VS Code, Visual Studio Code. So first you have to create a workspace and open that workspace in Visual Studio Code. Still, it is not a project. It is just a workspace. What is workspace? As I told you, workspace can contain a set of projects, right? Let's see. It is done. It is successfully created. Once it is successfully created, now you can close your command prompt and open your editor, Visual Studio Code. In that, open the project. Workspace, open the workspace here. So you need to go to File menu and here open folder. And the folder is in E drive and its name is Workspace Angular. That is the folder. And select folder, you can see this is your Angular workspace. This is your Angular workspace. And in this Angular workspace, already some files are generated for you. And generally, every web developer knows these files, very common in all web applications actually. And you also know some files from here. You also know some files from here. You see what are the files available here. Let's check the file system. That means workspace folder structure. Right? We will see what is the folder structure of workspace, what it actually contains. You can observe in the workspace folder structure, I will give file or folder and I will give a description. And observe carefully in the workspace folder structure, we have a file called package.json. You know it, no? Already we discussed about that. What it contains? It contains project metadata. Am I right? Project metadata is present in package.json. There is another file you can see, package.lock.json. Actually, it is related to package.json only. So what lock.json contains, actually it contains dependencies metadata. That means what dependencies are there, they are mentioned in package.json. That means what are the libraries installed in your project, what library is installed, which version is installed, all that information is present in which file? Package.json. And details about every library is present inside this package.lock.json. Library details are, library information is present in package.json, and the library related complete information is present inside package.lock.json. For example, see here, you open package.json. In the package.json, you can see it will get the metadata, and here it will show you are using Angular 14 version, Angular Forms, Angular Compiler, Angular Core. All these are libraries. If you install any extra libraries, it will get that information like Bootstrap, everything. Now you can observe here, there is another package.lock.json. In package.lock.json, about every library detail. That means Angular compiler, detail about that compiler. All that information, metadata about dependency, that is present inside package.lock.json. So we have two files, package.json and package.lock.json. Another file, you know, tsconfig.json. You know now already. We discussed how to generate it manually. You see, it is already created here. Package.json also we created manually, but now it is generated automatically. So tsconfig, what it contains? What tsconfig contains? So it comprises of rules for Typescript. Am I right? Comprises of rules for Typescript. Into which version of JavaScript it should translate, already I showed you that. All that information is present in tsconfig.json. So you know package.json, package.lock.json, ts. README is a very common file in every web application. readme.md. It contains, it is help document actually. Help document means as a developer, you can write the notes to other developers so that they can understand what you are doing this in this project. Just like a manual, right? You are giving a manual to a person who is newly using your project, right? For that, this readme will be there. You see, this is readme. And in this readme, it is showing all the help documentation. How to build, how to compile, how to run, all that some help is given. This is documented by Angular by default. You can add a lot of things into this. You can clearly tell how to work with this project, what are there in this project to other developers. That is help documentation. We have that readme.md. There is another file, angular.json. Angular.json is nothing but angular.json. It comprises of project related configuration. But currently projects are not there. That is the reason it will be empty with only limited details. Nothing will be there. Later when you add a project related configuration means, suppose in a project you want to use some CSS. In a project you want to use some scripts. Then in every page you don't need to link it. Generally you have done that in your HTML and all. When you are writing projects, when you are designing, I hope you are learning Java, .NET and all this. You might have imported, sometimes you have imported library in every program. You don't need to do that. You can configure it one place and you can access from anywhere. What library, from which location to access the library, all that information you can do in angular.json. But angular.json contains project related configuration only when project is there. Currently no project is there. It is just empty workspace. So you see Angular.json is nothing. Later once you add projects, that information come here. Entire project related configuration will come here. There you can make the changes, right? That you can manage using Angular.json, right? Another important is, which is a very common one, is git ignore. Git ignore. You have an option git ignore. Git ignore. I hope this is known to everybody who knows how to collaborate their projects on Git. You learned? Have you learned Java, .NET or any other technology projects, how to collaborate with Git so that you can publish them, you can make them live and you can use them live every day. Anybody can see them. Have you learned? No. So I will give you an overview. So how to publish our projects on Git. A simple overview I will give you so that you can make your projects live. Because you are a Java developer or a .NET developer, you went to some company for interview. If anybody asked you like, can you show me some projects you have done? Projects means not the real world projects, just some sample applications that you have designed. How you will show? You cannot say that I have in my laptop. You have to just give him a link URL and he will open it and he can see your projects, your work, right? Even these days we are using e-profiles, you know. E-profile means if anybody says that, so send your resume. So we will send a simple link. And in that link, a software developer is sending an e-resume means it's very good, very great. Why? Because e-resume is nothing but directly they can open the link and they can see all your information. It is just like a website of yourself. But it is not really a website. It is just a page about yourself online so that anybody can view it. These days, video resumes are coming, you know. Many companies are asking for video resume. Video resume means you explain about yourself in a video and post them. These are getting popular these days now. So companies are asking for such things. So whatever work you have done, you have to show to others. Then you have to collaborate with cloud online keep them online. You don't need to create a website. Website needs to pay money now. You have to purchase domains and all. You don't need to do that. Free domains are there. Free clouds are there. Services are there. You can use them. Like GitHub pages, like Firebase. Like you can create free. I will show you one simple example. I will show you in Angular how to make our Angular projects live, so that you can show them to others, right? So when you are publishing anything on Git, right, what files not to include in Git, that you mention here actually. Git ignore is nothing but it specifies the files to ignore. So to files to ignore in publishing, right? That means some files we don't want to publish. All files are not meant for publishing. When you publish, they will become live. Some files we keep private. We will ignore them. We don't want to publish them. We will just keep for our reference. So such files we can configure in git ignore actually. This everybody knows who worked with Git pages and all. I will show you later how to handle that. Actually, we can do it with a simple HTML like concept also, but I will show you. As of now, git ignore purpose is that, okay. Another option is editor config. Already I told you about this editor config also in TypeScript architecture. If you remembered, I told you TypeScript architecture. TypeScript architecture means core compiler, standalone compiler, language, service and all. In that there is an option VS Code shims, and we have editors. In the architecture I told you about editor. Editor is nothing but editor tells about the configuration of editor. Configuration of editor means what? In a project several people are working and in different locations they are. That means our team is in US and some people are in UK and some people are in India. The team in India is using Visual Studio Code. Some in UK they are using some WebStorm, Sublime, some other editors they may be using. We cannot force developers to use only specific editor. Every developer can use his own editors, but project is same, but working on different editors, then lot of inconsistency will come. That is the reason even they work on different editors, we will put standard rules for editor. That in this, the file must be here. So the file name must be like this. You have to write in these quotes. Such rules we mention. Editor related rules, right? Editor configuration rules are defined here. TypeScript configuration rules are defined in tsconfig. Editor related configurations are defined in this one, right? Editor means you see this is editor rules. See what they have mentioned: character set, indent style, final line. So see in TypeScript quote will be single, right? That means I already told you na inconsistency will come, because in JavaScript and TypeScript a string can be written in double quote, can be written in single quote, can be written in backtick also. In that case, one person writes single quote, another double quote, another backtick, lot of inconsistency will be there. Then we can put some rules so that if anybody violates them, it will show warning. That is what actually editor config is, right? That is editor config. And of course, everybody knows about node modules, na? Right? Actually, this is a common folder you will find in even HTML websites. Because when you are developing a HTML project, in that HTML project, if I want to use Bootstrap, what to do? We have to install Bootstrap. Then where the Bootstrap CSS JavaScript files will be kept, they are copied into node modules. You know, node modules is the folder which contains all the library. Library information is present in package.json, but the library is present in node modules. That means node modules comprises of all library files. Library related files are kept here. CSS files, JavaScript files, TypeScript files, everything will be inside this node modules. Okay, this is workspace you are having. You see, this is workspace, and this VS Code is optional. Actually, this is optional, so you will not get this folder everywhere. Actually, this folder I got because in my extensions, we have extensions now. I installed an extension called Angular Language Service. I installed that Angular Language Service. You can install this Angular Language Service. Without that also it's okay, but it is good for Angular developer. Once you install this Angular Language Service, in Angular, when you are writing your Angular code, it will give you help. It will give you IntelliSense. IntelliSense means it will pop up with suggestions saying that try this. So that means you don't need to remember every syntax. It will guide you through syntax. That will be better. So as a developer, better help. But it is not mandatory. If you know the basic syntax, you can directly write. You don't need to take help. But having help is good. So this language service will add this extension. It will add this VS Code. What will happen? This VS Code contains extensions. You see, extensions JSON. In that extensions, we have Angular related extension here. What this extension will do is, when you are typing anything, automatically it will launch and it will display some help to you. It is not mandatory, optional. So in every Angular project, you will not see this. This is customized for my machine in my Visual Studio Code, right? If you are not finding this in any Angular project, that's okay. That is not a part of Angular project. Okay, it is a part of our Visual Studio Code. You can optionally ignore this also. Okay, so workspace means these are the files. I hope you are clear. So package JSON contains metadata. Details about every library is present in package log. Typescript rules are defined in tsconfig. Help documentation is in readme. Project configurations are kept in Angular JSON. Any files to ignore while publishing onto GitHub is git ignore. Editor related settings are defined in editor config. Library files are kept in node modules. This is not your Angular project. It is just a workspace. Now in this workspace, add a new project into workspace. How to add a new project into workspace? First step, you have to open terminal. You know how to open the terminal. Open terminal and run the following command. You have to run the command. In the terminal, you will have the command called ng generate application. ng generate application and application name. Any name for application. For example, I will give the application as some shopping. You can give any name for application. I am just giving as shopping. Or you can write in a shortcut also. Actually, commands have shortcut. Remember, JavaScript, Angular, CLI commands all are case sensitive. Capitalization matters. You have to give in the same capitalization as I am giving here. So NGGA. So NGGA is generate application. Generate application. So you can use simple complete or you can use shortcut. And application name is what? Shopping. You can just give like that, right? So I will just open the terminal, and in the terminal ng generate application and application name. Application name is shopping. Now it will add a new project into workspace. Now you will see some new files will come into this location. You hit enter. Now it starts creating a project for you. And see, now it is asking some questions. First question is, would you like to add Angular routing? Would you like to add Angular routing? Routing is a technique used in web applications for creating navigation. That means single page applications navigation is very important. What I told you about single page application, User will stay on only one page and can access everything onto that page. And for that, routing plays the key role. And it is asking, do you want to add routing? We will ignore this. No. Why? Because we will learn how to add manually. Because if you select this, nothing will happen. Only one extra file will come. That extra file we will add manually when required. Currently, we are not learning routing, so we don't care about this. Later, whenever we required, we can add it. So, as of now, I will ignore this routing. So, you can say yes, no problem. What will happen? And one file extra will come. That file contains all the navigation. But you cannot learn navigation without learning basic design. So, we will ignore this as of now. Later, when required, we will add this. So, what is the first question here? So, walk through these questions. So, what is the first question? Would you like to add Angular routing? We will say no. So, I said no and enter. Second step, it is asking which style sheet you want to use. You remembered I told you that we can use CSS, SAS, less. Remember that? So we can use CSS, we can use SAS, we can use less. What are SAS and less? We call them as preprocessors, right? So it is asking, you see, it is asking, you want to use SCSS means SAS files or less files, or you want to use a basic CSS. If you are not aware of SAS and less, take it easy. Because this is for the people who learned it. Because people who learn CSS, they additionally can learn SAS and less, which makes CSS more easy, right? But that is not a mandatory one to have knowledge on. So that is the reason many developers may not know that. But in modern applications, everybody uses this SAS. So that is the reason in the modern generation web developer means he must know SAS and less like languages. They are languages actually. We call preprocessors. Okay. Now, if you don't know, take it easy. You just select general CSS. You can use your traditional CSS directly. So we will use CSS. Okay. Now the project is created. It is installing all the library required for the project. So now you can see, you say CSS. Now this will add projects folder into workspace. Understood? Workspace. So with your project folder, your project folder is shopping. That means you have your workspace Angular. In that workspace Angular, you will have, in this workspace Angular, you will have projects. Understood? In these projects, you will have shopping. That is the hierarchy actually. You have a workspace, in that workspace projects, in the projects, one project. You can have several projects in the workspace. You can generate multiple applications. So here you can see it is still creating. It will take some time to create all your project resources, right? And once the project is ready, you need to understand how this project works now. That means there are so many files in the project which are responsible for managing your Angular application. So we need to understand the file system of project. Let's see. That means we need to understand the project folder structure. You need to understand the project folder structure. Earlier, you know about the workspace folder structure. Now here I will give file or folder, and we will give description. This is project related folder structure. We need to understand what is present inside project. Now you can see in the project folder structure, you will additionally see here, it is still creating. It is successfully created your project. Successfully your project is created. First I will explain the project structure. Then you can see the output, how it looks like, means how the project works. We will see the architecture behind this, right? Now see here, first step is now open this projects folder. When I open the projects folder, you can see there is a shopping here. In that shopping, you have some files. And see the files that we have in the shopping. So what are the files we are having? One is src. Another is browser list rc, karma conf, and ts config. Actually, ts config is already there outside also, right? Now, what is difference between the ts config here and ts config outside? Simple, actually. We have ts config dot json. What is difference between two configs? One is for all projects, another for only this project. That means it is TypeScript configuration. TypeScript configuration for current project. Understood? Suppose you have all projects to follow same rules. You can write in workspace. You want only this project with some different rules. Those rules you can mention here. Right, that depends on your requirement. And you can see one more file is there, is tsconfig.spec.json. Anywhere you see the spec file, spec is test file. It is test file actually. Spec is test file. That means it is used for testing. So that means in order to test the rules that you mentioned in tsconfig, for that this file is required. That means this is used by your testing people to test whether you mentioned these rules or not, whether these rules are properly configured or not. Whatever rules are mentioned, they will verify whether the rules are appropriate or not. Those rules are correct or not. They will verify. For that, they need a test file. This is not for us. This is for testing people. They use this file for testing the file. So here we need ts config important. Another is we have karma.conf.conifa, right? conf.js. Actually, this is nothing but it is testing configuration file. Karma is nothing but a testing framework. I already told you Angular is a developer's platform. That means it is internally having everything from building to debugging, testing, deploying, whatever tools are required, all are installed. And there is a testing framework also installed called Karma, Jasmine Karma. And what is the version of the testing framework? Which library that framework have to use? All that configuration is defined inside this. You can see this contains information about testing file. The configuration Jasmine Karma is a framework used for testing. Testing related all configuration is present inside this file. This is test configuration file. Okay. Another one we have browser list RC. Browser list RC is nothing but it is browser configuration file. Browser configuration file means you can tell which browser to use and which browser not to use. That means we can restrict browsers. Restrict browsers means when you are designing an application, you can clearly tell for which browser it is suitable. Because you open several websites. At the bottom of websites, at the bottom in the footer, you will see a small message saying that this website is good viewed on Opera, it is good viewed on Safari, it is good viewed on Edge. So that warnings are very important because you learned that HTML is browser dependent. Am I right? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all are browser dependent, right? Everybody have to tell you whether it is suitable for all browser or not. That means when you learn a tag in HTML, first you should know, is the tag suitable for all browsers? Because some tags will not work on some browsers. And that is the reason we can restrict browsers. Restrict browsers means if when they try to open in any another browser, it will simply show a warning saying that use this browser. Browsers list we can configure here. And already you can see some browsers list is configured. These are all the browsers supported. What are all the browsers supported? It will show the list of all browsers. You can remove any, you can add any new browser. And currently from browsers, Internet Explorer is removed permanently. Internet Explorer is dead now. You cannot use Internet Explorer for Angular, React like technologies anymore. You cannot use. So if you are still using any old computer where you are trying to practice your Angular, React like technologies, you should know that Internet Explorer is dead. No more Internet Explorer. So you have to work on other browsers. Okay, right. And that configuration is defined here, right? That is what generally defined. This is another folder is there, SRC. And you know already now, I told you now two folders, public and SRC. So SRC, it comprises of project sources, dynamic, am I right? Resources. All project dynamic resources are kept in SRC. Actually, it is directly project resources. In that again, dynamic, static, classified. Project related resources are kept in SRC. You can see now when I go to this SRC, in this SRC, you can see some more files are there. It's a very lengthy hierarchy, but it is easy to understand. What are these files, how these files works, we can easily understand. Now let's see, up to this you are clear. Now let's see what is present in project SRC. Project SRC folder structure. Project SRC folder structure. What is present in that SRC? That is important. That means it again contains lot of files. File and folder and description. Let's see. It contains some more files and folders. Level by level, if you understand, then you can understand how your Angular project works actually. So for that, this process is important. You need to understand the purpose of all files. Okay. Now see here, in this we have so many files and folders. In that first you can see app folder is there. App folder is nothing but it comprises of Angular application resources. What are Angular application resources? Angular application contains components. Angular application contains services. Angular application contains modules. Angular application contains, you can say, pipes. All these are present in app. What are components, services, modules, pipes? We are going to learn one by one. We will see them. But Angular related, project related, all components resources are kept here. That means Angular project is built with components, services, pipes, modules, and all those are kept inside this app folder. So Angular related everything is added into this. And assets is very simple. What is assets? Assets is nothing but actually assets comprises of static resources. Static resources means like images, like text documents, like PDF documents, like audio and video files. All such things you can keep inside assets. Your project related static resources are kept here. Like your images, like your text documents, PDF documents, and everything you can keep here. That is what assets. And environments means it contains configuration for all environments and what are project environments. Actually, every project have three environments. You should know those environments. Three environments. We will have a development environment, and we will have a quality environment, and we will have a production environment. At real-time development process, every project contains three major environments. Every project, Java, .NET, every project have three environments. Actually, I will tell you here a simple point. Like you see, suppose here we have some options. Like here you see, generally in real-time software development, entire software development happens on 4 servers. Actually, software development entirely happens on 4 servers. And you see, suppose this is actually client. This is client. This is the client. Client is, for example, some bank. So suppose some HDFC bank. Okay. Now the point is, for HDFC bank, you are building an application. Your company is building an application for this bank, and those people have to use it. Then entire development happens in 4 servers. The first server we call as sandbox server, or we call as golden server, sandbox or golden server. The second server is development server, and the third server is quality server, and the fourth one is production server. It is production server. Entire software development happens in 3 locations with sandbox. Sandbox, actually, it is repository server. Repository means repository. Repository means nothing but whatever library required for developing a project, that library is kept here. As a developer, you are given access to development server. What you have to do is, you have to build an app here. Application is built on which server? Application is built on development. That means we bring the library from the sandbox and build an application in development server. After building this application on development server, we move this application to quality server. In the quality server, testing happens. That means your application is tested on the quality server. Our testing team will test the application on quality. After testing the application, if everything is fine, then it is moved to production. Production means go live. That means now it is ready to use. Your client will be using from the production server. Understood? If client wants any changes in your application, we don't touch this production. We don't do anything in production. What we generally do, so we will do those changes in the development only. And from the development, again, we move to quality. From quality to the production. This is the development process. For example, if you have any of your senior friends working in software companies from more than 5-10 years, they are not ordinary developers, they are consultants. You know, Java consultants, Java developers. Difference is, Java developer is just responsible for building application. Java consultant means he is responsible for supporting applications. Means applications are already built, they are being used, and if they get any technical issues, they will resolve. Those are consultants. In software companies, you will have .NET consultants, .NET developers, Java consultants, and Java developers. So I hope many of your faculties will put the label like Java consultants, right? Java consultant means more than developer. That means they are involved in production support. Production support means good experience required. Why? Because They are supporting the business when it is running. If they get any technical issues, they need to involve in that. Java have developers, Java have consultants. So we have so many types of consultants again. Technical consultants, functional consultants, techno-functional consultants. Software companies have a lot of job roles. Not just software engineer, not just developer. In Java itself, you will find lot of roles classified. In .NET, Java, everywhere you will find that. Now, the production support means already it is live and they are using. If they get any technical issue, they have to resolve. So, an application development happens in three environments: development, quality, and production. And when application moves from one server to another server, lot of changes need to make. For production server environment, you have to set it different. For development server, you have to set environment different. For example, you might have learned, when you learned your CSS and JavaScript, you learned your CSS and JavaScript. You learned about minification. You learned the concept minification in JavaScript and CSS. In real-time projects, you cannot use the CSS files directly. Never. Then you have to use minified files. In development, we will use the original CSS files and original JavaScript files. In production, we will use the min.css files, min.js files. And a developer should know how to minify and where to use those minified files. For example, any library, you see any library, for any library, JavaScript based, CSS based, any library, development related code will be different, production code will be different. That means lot of changes, functionality will be same, but the approach will be different. Means the logic, we will make it short when it goes to production. Actually, suppose you see, let's take here some website like Get Bootstrap. This is Bootstrap website. If you have learned CSS Bootstrap, you know that Bootstrap provides a lot of styles. You see, when I go to download Bootstrap, so you see when I go to download Bootstrap, what it will do is, when I go to download Bootstrap, you can observe here, this is downloading, and you can see here, they give a file here. You can see the file. They will give Bootstrap min files. Min files. Not only Bootstrap, anybody gives this. But min files means they are ready for production. Production means going live. So in development, we cannot use these min files. In development, why we cannot use min files? Because they are compressed. And compressed files cannot track exact location of error. That is the reason in development we will use uncompressed files, original files. And in production we cannot use original files because they occupy more space. We use minified files. Every CSS JavaScript library have a concept called minification. I will tell you, simple logic I will tell you, see here. Suppose you are writing code for development. I am writing if condition, am I right? If condition, if true, what statement should happen? If else, false, what statement should happen? Am I right? This is how we write. This is actually development related code. Now when this go to production means when it goes live, production, it will be simply like this. It will be condition and question mark true and colon false. You know this, both are same. That is minification. That means the left side development code is for designing and this code is for production. Production means going live. If anybody told you that you can write this in this way, shortcut. Understood? If anybody told you that this is shortcut, no, that is not shortcut. That is production level code. That is production level code, minified. That is not shortcut. In development, don't use this. In designing, don't use this. In designing, if there is a problem in that logic, it will say there is a problem. But in which line problem? But as a developer, easily you can track error only when you know the line number now. Because hundreds of thousands of lines code is written. And where you will look for if it is minified. Right? That is the reason this is for production, this is for development. So code changes. Code changes. If anybody says that this is shortcut, that is wrong. It is not shortcut. It is production level. If it is shortcut, then why this is given? Right? If this is production, this is best and easy, then why if is given? That means both have their own importances and their own specifications. So in Angular also, when you are developing an application, you have to tell environment. Environment means for production, what files to use. For development, what files to use. All that is mentioned here. Understood? In the environments, currently you can see environment is production true. That means currently our project is ready for production. Suppose you are only building production later, then you will put it to false. Then it will compile in a different way. If you are compiling for production, it will generate some new files. So if you are not compiling for production, it will do some other work. That is very important. You have to set the environments here, right? Environment related settings here. So the environment comprises of various phases. What are those phases? So building, debugging, testing, and deploying, right? That is all options here. So actually that is one option you need to understand about environment. Okay, another important, we have fav icon. Another important, you can see there is another file called fav icon. I hope you already know, huh? favicon.ico. It is nothing but it is favorite icon. Fav icon for web page. You learned na how to design a favorite icon. Favorite icon for web page means, so you see this is bootstrap fav icon. Understood? You learned how to design such icons in HTML, how to link those icons, right? That is fav icons. Right, every website will have a fav icon. So, and that fav icon is here. This is fav icon, you can change it. Right? Yeah. Another option is index.html. You know, index.html, it is the startup page. Na? The startup page. Application starts with which page? Index. Index. Every website have an index page. It is the startup page. And you have another option, main.ts. What is the meaning of main in any computer programming? In main, we have a technical word. What is main called as? In Java, C++, anywhere, if there is a main method, right? If you are not writing main, then what error will come? One technical error will come, and the technical error is entry point missing. Na? Main is called entry point of program. Entry point. That means program execution starts from here. Application starts from here. That means execution starts from here and renders which page? Index. Index is the output, but compiling starts from where? Main. Main will tell from where to start. That means it is the entry point. Entry point for Angular application. Angular application. Entry point from where the execution have to start. And you see the main is having, you see, so the main is having app module. So bootstrap module. Bootstrap means startup module. Booting. in any software terminology, booting means preparing for loading. Your computer is booting, not loading. Understood? When you turn on the computer, the time taken from you turned on to get ready, the process is called booting. Understood? Your computer is not loading, it is booting. Right? When you turn on the computer, from the time you turned on and the time it taken to get ready, the process is called booting. Right? Any application bootstrapping. Bootstrapping means the start of compilation and getting ready. From where it will start compiling? From a module called app module. Where is that app module? I will show you. Where is that app module? I will show you. Actually, this app module is present. You see, it is present. Here you can observe. It is present in this file. In app folder, app.module. That is the module. Already we learned Typescript module system. Na? The modules are present here. You see, they imported that module. Understood? They imported that module. That means application is starting from which module? App module. And it is present in app folder. We will go to that, right? We will see. Okay. So main indicates the entry point. Okay. Next, you have another option. This is very important. Polyfills. Polyfills.ts. You have polyfills.ts. Polyfills.ts is nothing but polyfills is very important. Actually, it configures differential loading. Yesterday, when we discussed about Angular related features, I missed this feature. This is very important advanced feature actually. So Angular supports differential loading. That is another feature. What is differential loading? Differential loading is nothing but the library will be generated according to the browser you are requesting. That means if browser is an old version browser, then the library will be generated for that browser. That means library is not same for all browsers. Browser dependent library will be generated. That is great. That means it will reduce the compatibility issues. If you are using an old version browser, the library suitable for that browser will be rendered. If not happening like that, then what happens in old version browsers? You cannot use your app. But it will make it allowed to use the app in old version browser also by changing the library suitable for that version. That is managed by polyfills. Polyfills is nothing but it will decide the library and it will transform the library suitable for browser. For which browser, which library, it will decide. That is very good. You don't need to do anything. According to the browser requested, it will take care. That is very good. That is what actually polyfills contains. Browser polyfills actually. Browser polyfills, it will import application. That means it will import the files and fill the browser according to the browser. That is very important. That is managed by this polyfills. Okay. It is related to browsers. So you can see it is all related to browsers. That is all browser polyfills. Okay. That is very important. And another important file we have styles.css. Styles.css, it contains global styles. Global CSS. Global CSS means you want some effects to use everywhere in your project. Those effects you can write here. Right? Generally, every file have separate CSS. You can do one thing. For every component, you can design separate CSS. For all component, you can put common CSS. That you can write in style.css. If you want any effects to work across all components, those you can keep inside styles, right? That you can do. Another we have test.ts. It is nothing but it is test entry point. Understood? What is entry point? Previously, karma config is there, na? Karma config is configuration file, means which framework to use. Testing will not start from there. Testing will start from which file? Test.ts. testing your application will start from this file. Configuration for testing is done in karma config, right? These are all the files you have. All the files we have. So this is inside. So which folder? This is inside SRC. In SRC, you have again the folder app, and this app contains components and all. We will see that. As of now, the outline structure is ready. We understood the complete infrastructure, and we know one process. What is that process? I will show you actually. The process is nothing but, we know the process that generally when you start a project, to start your project, you have to run ng serve -- project is equal to which project? Shopping. This is how we have to write. This is to start the project. When you start the project, actually what happens is, when you start the project, first step, which file will be loaded? Actually, it will load main.ts. Understood? It will load main.ts file. This main.ts file, what it will do is, this main.ts file is going to load app module. It is going to load app module. App module is the startup module actually. In this app module, there is an app component. This app component will be rendered in index.html. Understood? That means by default, every project comes with a component called app component. This is your wish. If you want, you can design your own. You can remove this and you can create your own component, login component, home component, any component you can create. And this component you can keep in index. By default, we don't have any components. By default, our own components are not there. It will come with a component called app component. This index page will start with which component? App. Remember, I told you that websites are component based. For example, I will show you here Netflix. It is a component based. And in this is header component, right? And this is main component. This is register component. Yesterday I told you that this is accordion component. Am I right? It is accordion. So the point here is everything is component based. Currently, which page you are watching? Index. In that page, directly content is not there. Content is designed in a component and that component is displayed here. Understood? That is the reason. Observe carefully. In our index.html, in the body section, only one line is there. In the body section, only one line is there. What is it? App root. App root is the app component name. That means it is the default component. It is the default component. Application starting with which component? App component. And its name is app root. It is starting with component. Observe now. Let's run the project. And you see this will happen. This process will happen. And your project will be by default running on http://localhost 4200 port number. Your project will be running here 4200. And very important, that port number we can change according to our requirement, but by default Angular will run on this port number. Every Angular project runs on this port number, right? You can change the port numbers later. Initially, you see now here, I will open terminal. After opening the terminal, here we have to run the command ng server -- project is equal to which project? Shopping, and hit enter. Now it will first compile. Currently we haven't designed anything. We will just see what is already there, right? We haven't designed anything. We will just see what is already there. You can observe now. It is compiling your project, building And once it is successful, now it is successful. Once it is successful, it says that your project is currently running here. Right now, you open your browser. In the browser, you request that. What is it? Localhost :4200. This is your Angular application. And see so much interface. But actually, index.html contains only one line. Am I right? Now it is wondering like how this one line is showing so much details. Actually, that one line is a component. Which component? App component. Every application starts with that component. Let's go to that component. It is in app folder. Go to app folder. You see there is an app component CSS, app component HTML. Go to app component HTML. Lot of presentation is there. Am I right? Now we will do one thing. We will delete that. And we will design a simple heading saying that Angular. So that means, so here a developer's platform. Just I am giving like this. I will save those changes. And see automatically in the output it will display that. That is how the output is coming actually. That means where we have to make the changes in app component. But it is not necessary to use this component. You can create your own component and you can design. Now we will learn how to create our own interface, right? How to create our own components and how we can start up with the component. We will do one thing. So we will try to design this page in the next session. Tomorrow we will design this page, right? We will see how to create components and design like this interface. We will see the Netflix simple home page, how to design it. Tomorrow we'll do that, okay? In tomorrow's session, we will design our first interface by using components, right? We will learn how to design this. We will try to replicate, but for this we need Bootstrap. We will install Bootstrap. We will see how to use Bootstrap and design such components. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue. Run project, am I right? To run project, what we have to do in the workspace, ng serve -- project is equal to what? Shopping. And we have to open browser. There we have to request http localhost that is 4200. Right? And into which file you have to make changes? Make changes in which file? app.component.html. It is present in which folder? src app folder. Am I right? In src app folder it is present. You have to make changes there, right? Now try this. In the next session we will see how to design an interface. A small application we will do. Right? Tomorrow we'll continue. Right? Okay.